Hey everybody, welcome to just a quick Teal Tinted Glasses thing. I'm going to make some second round predictions, hopefully before the fan family gets home and my background becomes just a crap ton of noise. Thanks for being here, for those who are watching, and maybe we'll talk about a few other things too, but right now, definitely want to get to the bracket, and I should probably have my bracket up so I know what I'm talking about, even though I have a general idea of what I picked. This is me being prepared, of course. There we go. The second chance league. Where am I? All right, so let's start with let's go with the East. And again, thanks to anyone who is paying attention to me right now. I see people watching. I don't have any chat yet. That's fine, though. I'm going to start in the East. I'm going to start with the Boston and Columbus, which, man, I don't even know. All these silly series going on here. And after the first round, I'm kind of shook, guys. Like, I'm kind of shook. Like, I don't know what to do. I normally do not predict the playoffs as badly as I have this season. The only thing that I can, I guess, hang my hat on is I think everyone predicted terrible things this season, so I shouldn't feel terrible like I'm like the lone guy out there who couldn't pick a playoff series. But here we are. I apologize for my voice. It's slowly coming back. I've been sick for the last 2 days. Terrible throat thing going on. So I apologize if my voice is a little more scratchy than normal. But let's get down to the picks, because enough about me and enough about me being sick. And I'm starting to sound like a Vegas fan. Oh, I'm kidding. All right. So Columbus and Boston. I like Boston in this series. I don't know what it is about Columbus that I don't believe in. Especially after I think my angle here is that I know that Boston just played a 7-game series, but I think that the layoff because of the Bruins playing the 7-game series is actually going to negatively affect the Blue Jackets. It's going to be really easy for the Blue Jackets to come out here asleep against the Boston team that just played a couple nights ago. And I think that they're going to be, I think that they could get an early hold in this series, and then being the veteran team that Boston is, they're not going to give it up. On the flip side, I could totally see, would it shock me if Columbus comes out and just curb stomps them after playing a pretty, I mean, I don't recall any injuries coming out of the first round for Columbus. So, and Sergei Bobrovsky's been fantastic this playoff after having just a craptastic season. Like you hear over and over again, the regular season really doesn't matter anymore. I think that's going to be true for Bobrovsky when he goes and looks for his next payday, because the way he played in the first round of the playoffs, and if he can continue that here, man, he's going to, despite the fact that in a contract year he had a pretty mediocre regular season, he might still get paid like he had an amazing regular season if he can do this playoff run. So I'm taking the Boston Bruins, but Columbus going through wouldn't exactly shock me either. I think Columbus is a great story. I think if it was, again, if I was going like what I want versus what I think what I'd want to be Columbus, because Columbus, I think with Columbus, like you want teams that go for it to win. Like the NHL, as a, look at, I wouldn't change the draft system, period, but it's nice to see teams going for it, doing well, rather than just, see, they could have, Columbus could have been like, well, we could make these trades and make the playoffs and get smashed by, Tampa, or we could just tank and trade everybody and then, try and get some draft picks and look to the future. And I like the fact that Columbus, being where they were, just rolled the dice and went for it. Uh-oh, people are home. So yeah, I think that what I'd like to see is Columbus, but what I feel like is going to be the it's going to be Boston. Next series, Carolina, New York Islanders. I like the Islanders here. Again, Carolina, great. This is like the two of the greatest stories in the league this year. So it's kind of crappy that one of these series has to end. the way that they're going to, but I like the Islanders here. I really like. I can't believe I'm saying this, but um, I like Robin Leonard, the way he's played this year. I love the offense on the Islanders, and I just like the idea of the Islanders. Man, it'd be hilarious if the Islanders went to the Stanley Cup final after John Tavares left to, um, after John Tavares leaves to have a better chance at winning a cup. I think it'd be amazing to watch the Islanders go to the Stanley Cup final. St. Louis, Dallas, I have no idea. I have St. Louis going through. I didn't really watch very much of either series, so I'm just throwing a dart here, and I'm not going to lie about it. I like, St. Louis is a team that I think is going to be an interesting one to watch going forward. Dallas, too. I mean, Dallas is exciting, but I still feel like Dallas is a one-line team, and I feel like St. Louis has the depth to get around them. So I'm going to pick St. Louis. And in the Colorado-San Jose series, I am picking the San Jose Sharks to move on. I hope I didn't just screw everything up, because obviously in my initial bracket, I had Vegas going through. And obviously everything other than the Boston series I picked wrong. So I'm hoping that I don't just jinx the Sharks now. But the reason is I think that even with the Pavelski injury, which I think is more serious than we're being let on. I'm terrified for Joe Pavelski right now. I don't know, man. I still feel like Colorado again. This is a one-line team, and with some really good goaltending. But I think if the Sharks can crack through that goaltending, I think that they can get through. I mean, this is the most wide open path the Sharks have ever had to the Cup final. So I like them. It wasn't like I thought the Sharks were a terrible team going into the playoffs. I just thought that Vegas had kind of ran roughshod over them so much that I just couldn't see a path for the Sharks to get through. And obviously the Sharks came back and they proved me wrong, and I'm glad they proved me wrong, especially in the spectacular fashion that they did. And we're going to hopefully have a show this weekend, so I don't want to get too much into the ref thing, but I will quickly, but I kind of want to attack it with the panel. For the rest of my bracket, I have the conference finals, obviously being the San Jose Sharks and the St. Louis Blues, a little rematch there in the conference finals. And I have the Sharks going through to the Stanley Cup final. On the east side, I have the Boston Bruins defeating the New York Islanders in the conference final, making a San Jose Boston Stanley Cup final, and which I took the Sharks because whatever, I don't even care at this point. If my bracket is even alive by the conference finals, then I'll feel better about myself. But with the way things have gone, I just do not. AJ saying, keep the Stastny, keep the McKinnon, Renton, and Landeskog off the score sheet like you did the Stastny line games 5 and 6, and the Sharks have a good chance. And I completely agree. I think the Sharks have a very, 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 very good chance of coming out of this series on top. Even obviously I'm hoping that Pavelski. I'm more worried about Pavelski the person right now, to be completely honest, other than the player. I don't know. I mean, as for the Knights, if I was a Golden Knights fan, I'd be pissed right now. If those calls were reversed, I'd be pissed. I'd still be sitting here, I think, consistently saying, well, I'd say all the things I'm still saying now. I did them after game 2. And I did them after, I said the same things, a lot of the same things that I would say now about the Golden Knights after game 2. The call went bad and you let a goal again, but then you had, almost 40 minutes of game time to rectify the score, and you didn't. And this is the same thing. You got a craptastic. I didn't like that. I know that some people agree with the call, and that's cool. I'm not going to, sit here and argue with anybody. I thought that the end result was far worse than the play. And then the play got, the end result was what got penalized. And that's, you can argue that all day. The end of the day, though, you have to play with the cards you're dealt. So I can, I stole that from Twitter. Someone saying in Vegas Ease, you have to play with the cards you have to play with the cards you're dealt. And their play with the cards that they were dealt was they allowed 4 goals in less than 5 minutes. And that's not on the refs. That is on your craptastic penalty kill that had basically made the Sharks power play look inept for, an entire series. And then suddenly it comes alive. Like, I didn't expect that to, I didn't expect them to come out where they were going to, come out and score all those goals. I mean, it was the most craziest thing I think I've ever watched. Like, I've watched this team play a ton of games, and that by far was the most insane game that I have ever watched. So yeah, I mean, I'm not complaining as a Sharks fan. I'm certainly not complaining. I guess the NHL reached out and apologized. And since Furlat and O'Halloran are, two veteran, like, these guys have a bajillion games ref between them. And for them to be sitting out after the first round of the playoffs, I mean, that speaks volumes for what so obviously the NHL did what they could do. I mean, obviously, a lot of people are like, oh, they should be fired or whatever. Well, these guys still have a union. I mean, it's, yeah, sorry, I'm just kind of reading the chat quick, and it's just me, so I gotta be better. Like, these guys still have a union. Like, they're not going to get fired because they missed, or they didn't do a call. I mean, I think that any other group of officials in that same situation would have to, would have done something different. Like, I feel like most NHL referees would have looked at the end result of that play and panicked and called a penalty. To the word is that, to that effect. I mean, you can't. I don't really fault the refs. Like, I think it was, probably not a great call, or it wasn't a great call. I mean, I'll flat out say it, but it certainly didn't. It certainly didn't. I don't think it had as gross an impact on the game as some people let it on. Like, there's to be, I don't want to say political, but there's so little personal accountability these days. Like, it feels like these days, just in life in general, society in general, it's always someone else's fault. No one takes personal accountability for anything. And I don't know. I just feel like that's the way it is. Oh, yes. Haley was in a 4th line jersey. Just looking forward to next round, because I don't really want to beat this to death, because I'm sure we're going to talk about this on our full show, which we will have. Haley looks like he's might draw in. Donskoy being hurt, Pavelski being out. I mean, at some point, I mean, I know there's some people that'll be like, well, there's plenty of other people that should draw in for Haley, but if Haley draws in for game 1, I'm not really shocked. I think, the best thing the Sharks did was probably take Haley out. Well, not take Haley out. Haley was hurt, so they didn't really take him out. But I thought that the series really calmed down without him in there, because it seemed like after that, like, Haley, the whole Reeves thing was just a complete non-factor the rest of the series. And I think that was something that the Sharks needed to do, was obviously, and I don't know if Colorado has an agitator similar to Reeves. I think, like, really, other than Reeves and Tom Wilson, who else in the league are like those two guys? So yeah, I think that, obviously the Sharks don't need to repeat getting into shenanigans. So I think Brian Reeves was a big part of the reason that the Sharks were just throwing fits. I don't know. It is what it is. I don't really have much else to say. I just kind of wanted to get on quick and do the do the predictions before the puck drop tonight. I'll look to the chat for any questions. Yeah, Dave, look at I see Dave's point here too. I know that I'm not. I know that I'm very much. This was, an unfortunate. It was an unfortunate play. Like I don't think. Like that cross check that Eakin did, that happens a million times a game, especially in the playoffs, because you're not going to get called for it. It's stupid, but it is something that happens like a million times a game. And then Stastny's kind of moving over, and I don't know what. I don't know what Stastny. Stastny kind of comes over, and then he's the. Do you want the leader of the bracket to give his picks? Oh, AJ, I love you. Does Boston have the best chance at beating the Sharks? Whew. I don't know. I mean, you would think on paper, I guess, but man, paper doesn't count for a whole lot these days, it seems. Yeah. I look at these teams and I think, yeah, Boston's probably the team that has the least holes in it. But I could make an argument for the Sharks to get beat by Colorado. I'm sure I could make a pick. I can make an argument for the Sharks to get beat by the Stars or Blues. Yeah, hopefully I'm with you. I don't know. Yeah, that's it. I don't know. On paper, I think Boston. I think Boston's probably might be the best team left standing, to be completely honest. But games are played on the ice, so we'll see. But I'm gonna get out of here because it's almost time for children and stuff. So thanks for coming on and watching my little tiny thing. I'll probably throw some of the audio anyway, even though I kind of just stumbled around and said nothing for minutes at a time. I'm very poor at this by myself, and I apologize. But those are my predictions. So go to your Vegas bookie and make your opposite predictions of mine and win lots of money. All right, guys, have a good one. Thanks for coming on for the brief little time I've been on, and have a good day.